I'm giving you your notes. I'm going to give you 10, 15 minutes to write at your own pace. Okay? This week we are talking about the respiratory system. What's the respiratory system?
Breathing, good stuff.
Breathing, good. What else?
Lungs.
Okay, good. Lungs are involved.
Stomach,
No. What's the stomach have to do with?
digestive system.
Good, digestive system. So we've talked about the circulatory system, the digestive system, and now the respiratory system. Why is this so important to you?
I don't got notes.
Because it's inside me.
No, I'm on the screen.
You need to log out and log back in, because that's somebody else's.
I typed it.
Because what did you say, Amberlyn? I'm sorry.
Because it's inside of us.
Yes! It makes us up. It's important so that you know what is going on in your body.
I typed my name in and everything and did that.
So we're going to learn about different diseases that happen in the respiratory system. We're going to figure out how everything works together.
Where did you get mine? There. Is that correct, Ken?
Yeah.
No, because they keep taking me to the question.
That's what it's saying for me.
Oh, yeah, sorry, hang on. Don't go yet. So we've got lungs. Tyler, did you answer the question?
Told us not to.
Derek, you answered the question.
Yeah.
Who's JTM?
I messed up.
Yeah. I think that's Tyler,
What's it stand for, Tyler?
Joseph Tyler Mayfield.
Miss Wade.
Okay.
Seafoam.
And then hit send. Down the bottom. There you go. Okay. So yes, it has to do with the lungs and heart. Just to let you know. Okay, y'all ready?
I thought that was the digestive system.
Then it would be the stomach. Yeah. Okay, so get started. You can go at your own pace. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. I think that's fair. 10 minutes to write down whatever you need to, and then we will get started with going through them together.
Did you tell people the grades of their test?
I can tell you at the end of class.
Can't hear it.
Sorry. I'm going to move these. I don't think you need all of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want the marker?
I got 3.
Okay.
Penny,
I'm just kidding. I only have this.
write your notes. Don't waste time. And as you go through, if there's anything that you find confusing, go ahead and highlight it so you know to ask me a question. There should be highlighters on your tables.
My computer's.
Can I have a holiday recess?
Yes. Green or blue? Actually, I'll just put them both here.
Okay. Ended up in the-
Where are you moving?
I'm only facing the camera. Camera.
He's camera shy.
Can't hear it. Thank you.
already been sent home?
No.
They run in the mail?
No.
So you need to ask, Ms. Rector shop about that.
Miss Racquetball.
Kenny, write your notes. Thank you.
Any come in the background?
Got a couple more minutes before we start going through it. So close. Right? You're doing stuff. And a lot of easy ones. stopping point. Finish the slide that you're on. And then get started. And while we're going through it, make sure you highlight anything that you find confusing, make sure to ask questions. Put a star by anything that you find interesting, didn't know maybe, and an exclamation point for something that you already knew. There might be some things that you know really well because you might have one of these problems like asthma or bronchitis. So, ready at a good stopping point?
Yeah,
All right. So the respiratory system, it consists of what?
Lungs.
Lungs, good. I'm sorry?
Throat.
Throat, yes,
Mouth.
which is known as the pharynx.
Mouth.
Your mouth,
Nose.
your nose. You're doing good, Kenny. On a row.
Bronchi.
Bronchi, okay.
Appendix.
No, sorry.
Brain.
Okay, so the respiratory system, you have your nasal cavity, you breathe through it, right? Or you breathe through your mouth. The pharynx is just your throat. We have the trachea. We talked about the trachea last week whenever we talked about digestion because it's in the same place as the esophagus. So whenever something goes down your esophagus, where is it going?
Trachea.
When something goes down your esophagus,
Oh.
it goes to your stomach, okay? If you're breathing, the air is going to go down the
Trachea.
trachea into the lungs. There's a little flap that covers either the esophagus or the trachea, depending on what needs to be open. What's that little flap called?
Does it start with a P?
No, it starts with an E, but there is a P in it.
Uvula.
It's not esophagus.
Wait, what's a uvula do? That thing in the back of your throat.
It's a gag reflex. Don't.
That's all it does.
I'm sure there's more. I'll find out for you. Alright, now. So what's the little flap of connective tissue? It's in your notes. It starts with an E.
And these?
Uh-huh. It should be in there somewhere. It's on your test on Friday. Which you all did really well on.
Esophagus.
It's not esophagus, but it should be close to it. Where are you? That E word.
A-P-I-O-T-O.
Epiglottis.
Oh.
Yeah, epiglottis, okay. So the respiratory system, in the respiratory system, you breathe about 15 times per minute. Okay? Inhaling and exhaling. When you are physically active, when you're exercising, your breathing is going to increase. Why might that happen? Why would your breathing increase?
Faster.
Your heart rate's increasing. Good. What else? I'll take any educated guesses. Why would you have to breathe more? If
Need
you're
more
exercising?
oxygen.
Thank you. You need more oxygen to your body. Is Kenny the only one here today?
Yeah.
Focus, you guys, come on. On average, your lungs will move 10,000 liters of air in and out of the lungs each day. 10,000 liters. So think about a 2-liter of
Yeah.
soda.
10,000 of those?
50,000 of those. But yeah, so 10,000 liters of air each day. That's a lot of air that you're breathing. The respiratory system is responsible for providing that oxygen to the cells of your body and removing carbon dioxide from them. And that carbon dioxide is a waste product, right? You need the oxygen, you gotta get rid of the carbon dioxide. And your respiratory system actually works with your circulatory system. They work very closely together.
I don't even learn about that.
We have learned about that
Oh.
a couple weeks ago,
Really?
right before the dissection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So why would our respiratory system need to work very closely with our circulatory system?
Because
because they both, what,
Because of the blood.
okay, what's the blood do?
Carry oxygen to the body.
Good, yes, so they work together because obviously you're breathing in oxygen with the respiratory system. That blood goes to the lungs to pick up that oxygen and deliver it to your body tissues. And then of course picks up the CO2 in order to get rid of the waste. Good. Your respiratory system is made up of the nose, which is your nasal cavity, your mouth, the pharynx, fancy word for throat, your larynx, your trachea, the bronchi, and the lungs. So, the lungs consist of bronchioles and alveoli. Okay? And you're going to find out what those are in just a little bit. Has anyone ever heard of either of those words, bronchioles or alveoli?
No.
No? Okay, cool. So you're going to learn something cool today. And I will get that. Should be a question for you to answer. Okay.
We're getting
Answer the question on your screen.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh.
Yeah, I have the computer set up for you. You're already logged in. And if you want
Unless you still technically have.
some notes so that you can catch up, you can use those from last period.
The alveoli is composed of lungs and the B word.
Okay?
Are we gonna get any more new people?
Probably. Keep going, Kitty. Answer that question. Drag me to the place.
And then the head was, well, I'm wrong.
That's all right.
Cause I tried putting lungs and it comes up wrong.
Nice work.
Yeah, Tyler. Tyler's not in school today.
He's not feeling school today.
It won't let me fill in the blanks. It just lets me highlight it.
That's all right. Okay. So it is okay. The lungs are made up of your alveoli and your bronchioles. Okay. Cool. So your Adam's apple. We kind of talked about that when we were going over the digestive system because we're talking about the esophagus and people were wondering about the Adam's apple. Now you're gonna know why we have one. Who has an Adam's apple?
Do I?
Boys do, and so do girls. Who would have thunk it? But yes, we all have an Adam's apple. Some are more distinctive and show more than others.
Tyler's.
Okay, so the larynx. The larynx is the portion of the respiratory tract that contains the vocal cords. And of course, your vocal cords are responsible for making sound. So you talking, your vocal cords do that. It's located, the larynx is located between your pharynx, back of your throat, and your trachea, by the esophagus, okay? Here's your larynx. Your Adam's apple is just cartilage that is surrounding the larynx in order to protect it. Okay? The Adam's apple, you can find your larynx by touching the front of your throat and humming. So if you do that, you should feel, there you go. You should be able to feel the vibration.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Everybody try it. Everybody love food, right? And you can actually feel that whenever you're just talking. Okay. So when your larynx grows larger, this happens during puberty, it grows larger, and it's going to stick out at the front of your throat. Okay? This is what's called an Adam's apple. Whenever it grows and you have that cartilage sticking out in front of your throat, that's your Adam's apple. During puberty, the girl's larynx does not grow as much as a boy's. Why? Why might that be?
Because boys rule, girls rule.
Not exactly. So boys have a more have a more prominent Adam's apple because your voices are deeper, right? Most of the time.
Yeah.
Make sure I got that. Yeah. So yes, more prominent. Good. Okay. Minute branches in the lungs in which a bronchus divides. What are they called? You haven't gone over it yet. I just want to see where you are.
The A word.
Okay, we've got bronchioles, we've got alveoli, okay?
it says branches.
Okay.
With the S.
It also says bronchus, right? We're gonna find out the definition in just a little bit. I just wanna see if you, let you know.
And this for a grade.
Participation.
Okay, I'm participating.
I know you're doing great.
I just don't know that much shit.
That's okay, that's awesome, because that means I can actually teach you something. The correct answer is bronchioles. Nice change, Derek. Yes, those are the little branches that a bronchus divides into. Tiny sacs within our lungs that allows oxygen and carbon dioxide to move between the lungs and the bloodstream.
The A word.
What are the tiny sacs called?
The A word.
Good, which is?
Ravioli.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, alveoli. But yes, it kind of sounds like that. If that's how you want to remember it, sure.
The A word.
I couldn't say it, so I said ravioli.
No, your answer.
Evie Vogel,
You didn't even answer with the right one, Kenny. Oh, you answered both, okay. That's
Oh,
fine.
did I?
That's fine. It is the alveoli, good. Those are the tiny sacs that are in the lungs. So, with the respiratory system, the air is gonna enter through your nose or your mouth. Okay, go to that nasal cavity, your mouth, and it's gonna pass through the pharynx. It's gonna pass through your throat, down the trachea, and it's gonna split evenly into the two bronchi. Okay, here's your bronchus, these two like tubes, right? And it splits into the bronchioles, which are stems basically, and they go to different alveoli. So all of that's gonna be entering your alveoli.
Is that what those are?
These,
Oh,
is that what you're pointing to?
yeah.
Yes. Little tiny sac-like things, and we're gonna,
Is there one lung for CO2 and one for oxygen?
no, but that's a good question. Okay. Which lung is smaller?
Yeah,
The
it's
left,
hard.
right, yes, to have room for your heart, good. Okay, so the trachea. Trachea is known as the windpipe. Why? Because you're breathing, and you're breathing in air, so wind, yeah, it's your windpipe. And it's supported by rings of cartilage, Derek. And the rings of cartilage are just connective tissue, and you can see those here, right? And it gives it a rigid feel. You can kind of feel in whenever you're touching your throat, the little ridges. It also keeps it open, and it's gonna split into two bronchi. The trachea will. In order
We
to
don't
get
have
to
a
those
piece of
two
glass in our
lungs.
trachea, do we?
We don't have what?
A piece of glass in our trachea?
No, this is just to show you the difference, but I see your confusion. No, we do not have a piece of glass in our trachea. Notice they also have goblet cells, and what's goblet cells? What do? What do they secrete?
Like enzymes?
Not enzymes, something that's in the back of your throat and your
Mucus.
nose, mucus, good. Okay, so the main purpose of your respiratory system is gas exchange. Each bronchi will branch until it ends up in those tiny air sacs, the alveoli, where the gas exchange will occur. At the lungs, oxygen is going to enter the bloodstream, and the CO2, that carbon dioxide, is going to leave the bloodstream because it's waste, and we have to get rid of that. So we inhale oxygen, and we exhale carbon dioxide. Right?
Yep.
Good? Happy? Science is cool? I think so. Okay. Okay, continue. Each of the alveoli will have a very thin wall. Okay, you can see these little bitty thin walls, and the alveoli are surrounded by capillaries. What's a capillary? You gotta think back to when we did the circulatory system. It kind of builds on top of each other. What's a capillary?
I actually don't know this one.
Okay. So we have arteries, we have veins, and we have capillaries. Which one's the smallest?
Capillary.
The capillary is the smallest, it's microscopic, and those, all of those are a type of what?
Heart? No. Blood vessel?
Blood vessel, yes, good. So it's a blood vessel, the smallest blood vessel.
This is,
So that's, the capillary is. The capillary is surrounding your alveoli. Here's your alveoli, and that's where your oxygen and carbon dioxide are going to exchange. There you go, Tyler. Okay. Gonna move on if y'all are ready.
Ready.
I like that y'all are taking notes whenever you don't know something. It makes me happy. So breathing, it's the process of inhaling and exhaling. You move air into the lungs whenever you inhale, right? And you move air out of the lungs whenever you exhale. So this involves muscles which move the rib cage, and a large sheet of muscle which is right below your lungs. It's called the diaphragm. Okay? And this is controlled by the amount of carbon dioxide in the blood. So you inhale and you exhale. The muscles, diaphragm, you need to know that. That's right below your lungs, right? Controlled by the amount of carbon dioxide. When your muscles relax, your diaphragm is dome-shaped, okay? And when they contract, it's going to flatten. You can kind of see that in the diagram.
you said the diaphragm is where?
Right below the lungs here, you can see? Yeah. And it's just muscles. Okay, I'm going to continue. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Of course, there are other animals that have similar respiratory systems, but they don't have lungs, right? Or they don't breathe in the same way that we do. So how are they able to get oxygen?
Gills.
Gills, like fish have gills. Okay, so they still have to have oxygen and they still have to get rid of carbon dioxide. So fish use gills in order to make that gas exchange. And the capillaries, those tiny blood vessels, they are inside the gills and they remove that oxygen from the water, which is why your fish have to be continuously swimming. Continuous swimming in order to get the oxygen from the water.
They can't just like sit down.
They cannot sit still. Most of them cannot sit still. Okay. And we're going to see exactly how it works in a video.
Is that why they freak out like when they're in nets?
Almost all fish breathe or get their oxygen from water. Instead of using lungs, fish breathe with organs called gills. Most fish have 4 pairs of gills enclosed in a gill chamber on each side of the head. On the outside of the body, a flap of bone called a gill cover protects the gills of bony fish. To get oxygen, fish gulp water through the mouth and pump it over the gills. In many fish, the breathing process begins when the gill covers close and the mouth opens. The walls of the mouth then move inward. The mouth partially closes and the gill covers open. This action forces the water from the mouth into the gill chambers. The inside of each gill consists of fleshy, thread-like filaments. Water from the mouth passes over the filaments. The filaments are closely spaced along a gill arch in 2 rows. Each filament has many tiny extensions called lamellae. Blood flowing through the lamella takes oxygen from the water and releases carbon dioxide into the water. After the fish receives its oxygen, the water passes out through the gill openings and the breathing process begins again.
Alright. So that's how the fish get their oxygen and get rid of their carbon dioxide. So now we get to the fun part. We get to diseases of the respiratory system. Okay? Yay! One of those diseases is tuberculosis. And I'm assuming you've heard about tuberculosis in what other subject?
I've never heard of it.
What? Really? Okay.
I
heard like it's the reason like that hospital is haunted or something in Louisville.
Okay, so in what other class have you heard about this disease? Huh?
Listen,
Health, Hitsons, you should have heard it in history, good. Yes, so lots of history teachers will have to teach about a certain time. And tuberculosis was very, very, it was fatal, right?
Like I hear on like medicine commercials are always like if you have tuberculosis or something.
Yeah.
It's like every commercial.
what is tuberculosis?
Tuberculosis, you can say TB, it's also known as that. It's an infectious disease, and it's easily passed between people. So like, it's airborne, so if I breathe on you or if I cough on you and I had it, there's a very good chance that you could get it. Very contagious.
Okay, off topic, but how, like, can you get mono from someone if they just breathe on you or touch you?
No,
You have to kiss them.
not necessarily, you could drink after them.
What if their spit, like, gets on you? 'Cause I'm scared
Well,
to,
then
like,
it's possible, yeah.
I'm scared to, like, spit on me.
You're gonna be fine. I think you would already be having those symptoms by now.
What's mono
What
do
are
to you?
symptoms of mono?
Extreme fatigue.
What's that mean?
Like you're so tired you don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, I think I have
Is
mono.
that it?
There's others, but that's the main one.
Yeah, I think I have mono.
No, you do not have mono. Okay, so tuberculosis, easily passed between people. It's caused by a bacteria that enters your lungs.
Can it kill you?
It can, if it's untreated. That's why in history you hear about all of those people that died from tuberculosis.
How do you know you got tuberculosis?
Tuberculosis
Yeah.
symptoms include fever, cough, weight loss, extreme fatigue, tiredness, and chest pain.
I heard
Okay.
you like cough
Sounds like
yourself
when
to
I
death.
was a kid.
So if you have these symptoms, you can actually find out if you have tuberculosis by getting an x-ray done. They can see in that chest cavity, they can see any type of bacteria that's built up.
Is it like
Um,
only old people can get it?
No, anyone can get it. Good question.
Really like babies and stuff?
Yeah. And so if it's not treated, it could be fatal. As
Is
it will
it-
cause death, which is
it
why.
easily treated now?
There is treatment for it now, yes,
Is it
but you
expensive?
gotta be diagnosed in order to get the treatment, right? So if you don't get diagnosed, you don't get treated, then you have problems.
That's stupid.
Okay, I'm gonna continue.
Yeah.
Asthma, how many people in here have asthma? Does anyone in here have asthma?
Kenny does.
You have asthma, Kenny?
No.
Oh, okay,
No.
I got it. It's window water.
I don't think so.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think Jed does.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And it says grows.
People at the school have asthma. People, lots of places have asthma. And that's when you see the inhalers come out. So asthma is a severe allergic reaction, which is characterized by the constriction of those bronchioles. And what are bronchioles?
Kenny?
The-
Airways.
The lines in your lungs.
Yes, the little passageways in your lungs, good, that go to your alveoli. So the less air, because they constrict, if you look here at this one compared to this one, the opening is a lot smaller because it's constricted, which means there's less air that can be sent to that alveoli.
So people with asthma always have lungs like that?
No, they have like flare-ups, or they have like a reaction to something, or, and we're gonna look into that just in just a little bit. So if you want to see how an asthma attack occurs.
I feel like a fish out of water.
This animation will show what happens in the lungs during an asthma attack and how a relief
Yeah,
inhaler works
Try not
to
to
treat
pay
it.
attention to her voice so much.
Click the navigation arrows below the animation screen to play, pause,
Asthma attack.
rewind or fast forward the animation. Air or oxygen is taken in through the mouth and nose. It then passes through the trachea to the bronchi.
Trachea.
Asthma is a
Trachea.
condition where the airways become irritated and inflamed. The bronchi are large tubes
trachea,
which are found in the
Your
lungs.
bronchi,
Air
bronchioles,
flows through these tubes.
and those are your alveoli,
The
little
bronchi
bitty.
branch
circles.
and narrow into tubes called bronchioles. The bronchioles continue to branch and end with tiny air sacs called alveoli. In healthy lungs, oxygen is taken into the body through the bronchi and passes into the blood via the alveoli. If you have an asthma attack,
You may start
Pay attention to
wheezing,
the difference.
your chest may feel tight, and you may be breathless. The muscles in the walls of the airways tighten, and the inner surface swells, causing the airways to narrow. An asthma attack can be triggered by exercise or an allergy, for example, both of which can irritate the airways. When the airways narrow, it's harder to breathe. Reliever inhalers are used to widen the airways so you can breathe more easily if you have an asthma attack. The inhaler contains a gas which propels the
So I should
medicine
say
into the
asthma.
airways so that the muscle walls relax and the airways open up. When the airways widen, it's easier to breathe. This is the end of the animation. Click on the animation screen to watch it again.
Asthma.
Okay. So yes, that wall is going to constrict. We have a very narrow opening now, and it's trying to get all of that air into the alveoli, and it can't because there's just not enough.
Can you
Room
die
for
from
it to
asthma
get
attack?
I'm sure you can, but people have inhalers.
There's something in your closet.
There's something in my closet.
Yeah. I hear it.
It'll be fun.
You hear it?
No. You sure it's not Kenny?
No. I'm sure. Listen, Kenny.
Okay. Another disease caused by respiratory problems is emphysema. You ever known somebody that has emphysema?
No.
No? Okay. So it's a condition where the alveoli walls, these little walls, right, they're capillaries, right, they're going to start deteriorating. And when that happens, it causes the lungs to lose their gas exchange ability. They can't exchange that oxygen and carbon dioxide. Of course, emphysema can be caused by smoking.
No.
Yeah, so smoking's bad, right?
No.
Yes, smoking is very, very bad for you. As you can see,
It's
the
good
healthy
for
alveoli, and it keeps going, and then we get this really unhealthy one, where we don't have the tiny sacs anymore, it's just this one huge opening. Look at that emphysema lung, and you're not going to be able to exchange that gas as well as you should.
you. Can you have surgeries on your lungs?
Yes.
How do they do
Interest.
that? How do they do that without like stopping your breathing?
I'll have to look into it. Okay, so emphysema. Very bad. Deadly. Okay. Pneumonia. I hope you've heard of pneumonia.
Yeah.
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 And it's a condition where those alveoli will become filled with fluid, like water. Okay, these little tiny sacs are going to be filled with water. Sorry?
Can't you drown?
It can kill you, yes. Because as it fills with water, it prevents that exchange of gases, which you have to have in
She's
order to
not
live.
lying. I think there really is
Yeah,
something in
he
there.
gets it too. You
Okay.
hear him?
Yeah, it might be a maintenance guy. Try to ignore it. I'll look into it later.
You're looking into a lot of things.
I know. I bet it's just maintenance. It's fine. Don't be worried. Maybe it's a ghost.
Maybe you'll beat him up.
I'm scared that those cats are in there.
The what?
Miss Holly said there's cats in there.
There are not cats in
There was cats.
there. Pneumonia. Who died of pneumonia? What famous person?
Molly, sorry.
She's still alive. George Washington?
Did he really?
That's what I always heard. I'm not a history person, but that's what I've always heard.
I thought he got abominated.
What?
I mean, assassinated.
I thought he got like,
George Washington?
I heard he got like termites in his wooden teeth and like
Yeah.
they his brain out.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Look it up. See what George Washington
Wait, no,
died
I'm
of.
talking about that ham guy.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Okay. Other diseases of the respiratory system. Bronchitis. And I know this is a very, this is that time of the year that people are getting all kinds of like upper respiratory infections or bronchitis, or we have somebody here that has chronic bronchitis that won't go away.
The teacher.
No, that's a student. Bronchitis is the inflammation of the lining of the bronchioles.
Oh wait, I know who.
So yes, that becomes inflamed. It becomes very difficult to get the air that you need, and so you're coughing, right, constantly. It's not fun. And then, of course, another very serious disease would be lung cancer. And I'm assuming you've heard about this
No.
in health class. Lung cancer is bad. And what causes lung cancer? Or what can cause? Smoking can cause lung cancer. Lung cancer is irregular and uncontrolled growth of tumors in the lung tissue. So you can see here's a smoker's lungs.
That's
These
what
are
cancer
different
is.
tumors, different cancers, tumors. The lungs become almost dirty-like.
Can you clean 'em out?
No organs, severe difficult breathing. What did it say it was raining? It's snowing.
That's cool. It's snowing.
It could be.
I think it was.
Snowing?
No, sorry, George
It
Washington.
was hailing yesterday.
Okay, so now we have a brief overview. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So, you're breathing in air. Derek, put your head up.
Yeah, Derek.
You're breathing in air through your nose and your mouth. And then it goes to your pharynx, right, which is your throat. And it's going to go down the trachea because the epiglottis is now going to be blocking your esophagus. To your stomach, right. So now we're getting that air down the trachea into the lungs. Here's the trachea. It splits up into bronchi and goes to the lungs through your bronchioles into the alveoli. Okay? And then here is the diaphragm, that skeletal muscle, that's going to be controlling.
We should
as
watch
you-
the Magic School Bus on the respiratory system.
We'll see. You can do that at home. It's on Netflix.
We should watch boring.
You can't read it?
Uh,
Irregular
Yeah.
and uncontrolled.
I'm gonna see if this
Growth.
will let us watch Dragon Ball today.
Okay, so how do we connect the circulatory system with the respiratory system? Kenny,
Heart,
okay? So why do
oxygen
oxygen? Because your blood carries oxygen where?
to the body.
To body tissues, and it's
Cells,
good, and it's going to take what?
CO2.
CO2, because it's waste.
I was writing my name and I wrote Amber lungs.
Because I keep talking about lungs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number one.
So now we're going to see how they relate.
All cells need oxygen. It is the essential fuel which is necessary to enable cells to stay alive and to carry out their various activities. Bringing oxygen to the cells requires the uptake of oxygen from the air in the lungs, its transportation in the blood, and its delivery to cells all over the body. The first step is the taking up of oxygen by blood flowing through fine capillaries in the walls of the lungs' air sacs, or alveoli. The oxygen molecules change from their state as a gas freely circulating in the air, dissolving into a solution in the plasma within the capillaries of the alveoli. Once in the solution of the blood, 98% of this dissolved oxygen is taken up by passing red cells, leaving just 2% remaining in the physical solution unattached. Red cells are particularly well suited to transporting oxygen because they contain a special oxygen-binding protein known as hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin. We talked about hemoglobin. It also
Each
contains
molecule
iron.
of hemoglobin itself contains 4 molecules of heme, an iron-containing pigment, which binds oxygen loosely and reversibly. Hemoglobin that is fully saturated with oxygen is bright red and is called oxyhemoglobin. On the other hand, hemoglobin that is not saturated with oxygen is purplish blue in
It is
color
not blue.
and is called
It's a dark red. It
deoxyhemoglobin.
could look blue, but it's not
It
blue.
is heme which
Blood
makes
is
it
never blue.
possible for the red cells to pick
Blood.
up oxygen dissolved in the blood,
Blood is never
transport it combined with
I thought
hemoglobin,
blood's
and
like
release
the
it
body's
back
blue.
into the blood as oxygen in solution,
Now you
ready
know.
for delivery to the various cells of the body. Hemoglobin gives up its oxygen as red cells travel through capillaries in tissues where there is a low content or
Capillaries
partial
are?
pressure of oxygen. The partial pressure of oxygen represents the level of dissolved oxygen in plasma. As oxygen is released and again is carried in solution, the partial pressure of oxygen in the capillaries becomes greater than the partial pressure of oxygen in the surrounding tissues. This causes oxygen to move out of the capillaries into the tissues and to finally reach
He
the
talks
cells.
too fast.
This graph, the oxygen dissociation curve of hemoglobin, shows why hemoglobin is particularly suited to its role in transporting oxygen. The oxygen dissociation curve demonstrates the relationship between the oxygen carried in combination with hemoglobin, the O2 saturation, and the partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood. The sharp upstroke and the flat plateau.
There's one more thing on your Nearpod, so here we go. What did you learn today about the respiratory system? Something that you didn't already know? Could be something small, could be something huge, I don't know. What did you learn?
Can I write dank?
No. Something appropriate. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a lab to simulate how the respiratory system works, how your lungs are working. What thingies, Amberlynn? What are they called?
Your lungs.
Your lungs change colors, okay? You breathe 15 times per minute. Yeah, good. Smoking. I hope you already knew that, Kenny.
I didn't know
Smoking can kill you.
Yeah, Derek. Smoking.
Oh, something else you should know. People are into those e-cigs right now. It can kill you also. It causes popcorn lung. Look that up later. Not good. It's like holes in your lungs. Popcorn lung.
It can't kill you.
Oh, it can.
What's
Anyway,
what's popcorn lung do?
make sure you log out of your Nearby. You guys are done. Make sure your name are on your notes.
Well, if there's holes in your lungs, that means more air escapes your lungs.